Hello, today we're going to view how to create a REST API with Spring Boot. This lab doesn't want to spend a lot of time explaining what is Spring and what is Spring Boot. I want you to know that Spring is a framework that offers a lot of tools to develop Java applications, and the Spring Boot is something that Spring has created to be able to create very quickly a Spring application. It allows you to create standalone Spring applications with a Tomcat embed or other servers. It has something that they call starter dependencies that includes everything that you want in your application, all the libraries and all the dependencies that you need to do a lot of different things. We're going to view later how that works. It configures automatically a Spring and a lot of third-party libraries, so practically you don't need to write configuration except when you want to do something out of the default. But all the default things are there, and well, a lot of interesting things. So I recommend you to work with Spring Boot if you don't have experience on that. But today, well, I don't need to explain a lot of things about that. Let's go to the initializer. I have this Spring initializer webpage prepared with some information. You can, well, by default, this is with default data, but you can fill it. I'm going to call my group of the application com Diego del Blanco is my name. The artifact is going to be called REST API Lab. The name of the application is the same. I have a description. The package name is going to be this one, obviously. I want it in jar and not in war. The war is to deploy in a Tomcat. The jar is you can run it with Java -jar and it works. And Java version, let's use the 8. So I have here some selected dependencies: MySQL, web, and GPA. Those are the ones that I need for starting. But what that means? Let's go here down in the big, well, I didn't tell that, but there's a simple or a full version. In the full version, you have a lot of things that you can add. You have some development tools that are very useful: security, session things, cache. And in the web part, you have a lot of things related with RESTful, like Jersey, HeyToas, that we are going to view today. We have templates engines to make create user interface. I like to use TimeLeaf as my first option, and this is very interesting. SQL, you can add GPA, that is a framework that makes some magic, and you can create all the database without write a line of SQL. And the other thing that you can add is support for different databases. You have MySQL, that is what I selected. So magically, the application is going to have everything that is needed to work with MySQL and with GPA. We're going to view that it's very quick, but if you need to work with Postgres, you only need to click this and that's it. It has a lot of other things to work with NoSQL, in the cloud. Well, it's huge. But we only need these 3 things. If I click on generate the project, well, it's the second time I do it, you can view it downloads a zip file. I have the zip file prepared here. So if I extract everything, well, there are some files and directories. Let's import it in a IntelliJ project. So let's create a new project from existing source. You can do it with IntelliJ, or you can do it with Hibernate. So I have it selected here. ASU is used what I download. I not add any other thing here. I click on everything. By default, I select the Java version that I want. Again, in Eclipse, you can do this. It's simple too. And when I finish, well, another project is created. This is the one that I want to use. I have another behind that has more things that I'm going to show to you later, but this is the basic and empty project. If I open all the folders, we can view that we have use one Java class that has this very long code. Use this line of code, main, and it has this file, application properties, that is empty. And well, it has some tests ready folder with a basic environment for testing. We're not going to talk about tests today, but if you remember, if you do applications, everyone wants for you to do the test. But today, let's forget about the test. Yeah, let's start with the API Lab application. To run this, yes, we can run this. We can add a configuration. Again, in Eclipse it's different, but it's not very complicated. And we can add here the class that we want to run. And then just clicking and play, it's going to start, but it's going to fail for some reason. It's going to fail because we have not added the configuration for the database in the application properties. So here you can view that we have a failure, blah, 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 and it's related with the database. What happened? Okay, I save. Spring Boot adds all the magic with these configurations, starter.gpa, web, etc. But the magic, it doesn't work totally alone. You need to do something. So the thing that we need to do here is configure MySQL database, because if not, the application doesn't know where to write. So I have this configuration ready with the URL, the username, password. This database, I created this database. Where is it? Here. I created it and it's empty at this moment. I don't have any table on it. And well, I have the MySQL thing and update in the DDL, but because I want the database to be updated when I change something. So let's click here and start the application for the first time. It's going to take just some seconds. Usually it's very quick. Okay, 10 seconds this time. And if we go to the browser and we go to localhost 8080, that is the default port. We can change that, but by default is this one. If I click on it, I have this error page. But this error page means that there is something there that is answering, because if not, I don't have this, I just have nothing. That means that there is not any index page in my application. Well, really, we don't have anything, it's empty. Okay, so let's start to the things. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is, well, I didn't say it, we're going to create a REST API for agenda with contacts and meetings. Okay, let's start with the contacts. So the first thing that we're going to do is create a package that is going to call model. Okay, and we are going to create here in model a class called contact. Okay, well, the good thing is that I have everything ready and I don't need to write all the code. So we can create this simple class. But what do we want? We want this to be created in the database. So if we do this, it's just a class. But if we change this to the things, and I'm going to explain what I've done. So we say that this is the magic of the annotations. So we're going to say that this is an entity. We want this entity created in a table called contacts. Okay, this is the public class. This first attribute is going to be an ID, and I want a generated value automatically, so it's going to be auto creating the ID. And we have different elements, different attributes, and I can say that this column is going to be called name. So the attribute can have a name, but this can be different if we want. And we can define several properties here. I'm not going to enter in GPA and Hibernate at this moment. I'm just going to write this. So if you give me 1 second, oops, let me change to this one where I have everything, pretty, and I don't need to write all the full code for this because, well, I need to create all the gets, so I think this is it. Okay, so I have the contact. You can view, I just add this magic in yellow, all the columns, all the IDs, and that is the contact. So well, what happens if I stop the application because it started, I stop it and I start it again. Okay, build, it's taking some seconds. And well, the magic is going to happen here, so I'm going to open it. It's starting, connecting to database. Okay, so again, if I refresh now, I have 2 new tables, contacts with the different columns, and the Hibernate sequence, that is the one that is going to keep the next value of the ID. Okay, so everything happened here magically without any extra work. Now we have our contact. The second thing that we're going to do with GPA and Spring Boot is create something that we call repository. The repository is a Java class that is going to allow us to access to the database and search for contacts. We can find by ID, or we can find by name, or we can delete it, or we can save it. So all the actions that we need to do with contacts in the database are going to work in the repository. So what I want to do is to create here a new package. It's going to go repository. I'm going to create a new class, and I'm going to call it contact repository. Okay, that's good. And you are going to view how big is the code. Let me copy from the other because I have it here and I don't want to miss anything. Yes, you are viewing that it's not huge. Okay, what we have here? We have this annotation repository, and we have a class called contact repository that extends the GPA repository, and it extends saying that contact, that is our model class, and this second parameter is the class of the ID of contact. So if we go to contact, we can view that the ID is a long, and here we have long. Well, we have long Java. It's really, I could have saved this to long, but well, that's not very important. Okay, let's leave it as it was because it was working fine. So we have now a repository. This repository is going to help us to do a lot of things. but later we are going to view all the options that we have here. Now we don't know what to do with the repo. So the next thing that we need is, and this is going to be the last thing that we need to create a REST API, is create another package that I'm going to call controller. In the controller, we're going to create a new class that is going to call contact controller. And here in the contact controller, we're going to add all the REST API code. Again, we're going to go step by step. Okay, so let's add the first thing. Let me copy paste. Okay, there are some things that I need to import. Okay, let me do something to avoid all this work. Just go to this one and show here in the controller what we have. I think that's enough. Okay, so let's forget about all the imports. And what we have an annotation that says that this is a REST controller. Okay, this makes the magic. So the Spring Boot application knows that this works like a REST controller, and the mapping, the route for this controller is going to be API v1. Well, I said that, but we can say whatever we want here. We have the class, and what we have done, another of the magic things or Spring Boot, we have with this annotation of the wire the contact repository. So this repository that we have here is going to be available to work inside this. Let's go 1 second to, well, any place here, and if I write contact repository, well, not here because I'm out of a method. Let's do it, for instance, here, contact repository, and I click on the autocomplete. You can view that I have find all, delete, exist, find one, well, a lot of different things without write a line of code here. Okay, yes, we can view that GPA repository, that is the class that we extend, has all the things, and it extends paging and sorting repository that has other things, and this extends this one that has more things. So this is one of the things that I like from Spring Boot. It has a lot of included functionality without need to write the code for that. So let's start with this first. The first is get mapping. That means that it's a get method, and it's going to be mapped to contacts. So it's going to be API of v1 contacts. And what we're going to do, we're going to get all the contacts that we have. It's going to return something that we call response entity. Response entity is a Java object that comes from, let me find it here. Where is response? Yes, for the Spring framework, HTTP. And response entity has a lot of things predefined, like the OK answer, the bad request, the not found, created, no content, the specific status. Well, we have different things that we can do with response entity. So it's ready to work with REST APIs. So what we're going to do is return OK, and the body of this method is going to contain the contact repository find all. Es decir, it means everything that we find in the contact repository is going to be in this body, and that's everything. Of course, if I run this now, we don't have anything there, but let's try. and view what happens, because if you remember before we had some errors in the browser. Okay, it's starting now. Let's give it some seconds. We have some errors in the browser, but now when we go to API v1 contacts, we're going to have an empty list of contacts. It's starting, and okay, the port was already in use. Maybe I didn't stop. Something. Yes, I think that I didn't stop it correctly. Oh, maybe. Yeah, sorry. I didn't stop the other. Okay. Yes, I didn't remember that they had other. Okay, so let's start it now. Well, it's good if this happened to you and you have this exception, means that in some place you have this application running in the same port, so you need to find where and stop it, or maybe go to the system and kill it or whatever. So now it's started. Yeah, where is the browser? Here. So this one is going to continue sending this error, but if I click API contacts, say it's returning to me an empty list, of course, because we don't have contact, but that means that it's answering to a request. So let's continue with the next one. The next one is here. Well, I think this is the old one. Let me close that so we don't have problems. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is the get. And if you know a little about REST APIs, we should do it in this way. To get something, we need to add the ID after the slash here. And how the code is going to be? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we receive a path variable that is ID, that is this here is going to be included in this variable contact ID, thanks to this annotation. So contact ID, we can use it now in the method to find by ID in the repository, contact ID, and we receive a contact. One of the things that happen with the repositories is that they return an optional object. Optional object contains the result but can be empty, so it's useful. Instead, try to work with nulls. We can make this if contact is present, means that if there is something inside the optional, we can do something like this, that is response with OK, and the body is going to be contact get. Contact get is extract the object that is inside the optional object that we call contact. So contact get and OK. But if the contact is not present, we are going to return not found, and that's it. Okay, we have this started, so let's view what happens if we try to get the contact number 5 that doesn't exist. Well, we have the 404 error. That is what we are expecting. But let's try to do it in a nicer way. So we have Postman here. They have really to do different things. So if this is the post, let me use a get for this, and I send it. And if I put number 3, I have the 404 not found. Okay. Well, we are starting to have a lot of things in there, but we are not going to use the browser now. We're going to use Postman and IntelliJ. So now is the time to create the contacts, because Okay, it's very nice to have gets, but if you cannot post anything, well, it's difficult. So how this works? Again, we're going to receive something in the post, and this something is going to be a contact. We have these annotations that are going to be able to convert correctly the JSON that we receive into a contact object, and this one is going to, well, launch exception if it's not valid, etc. And here we have this try catch, because, well, I want to return bad requests if something happened. So we try to save this contact in the repo, in the database, and it's going to return, when you save, it returns the object, and now you can extract from here the ID that has been automatically created. So I return the URL here. So this response entity is going to be created URI, because this is a parameter. So if we look here, created is asking for URI location. We need that, and the body is the new contact. Or again, the exception if it fails. Let's try to do it. Let's go to Postman, and here, yes, I have ready something. So in localhost 8080 API contacts, I have this post ready, and I have created this with the names or name, email, or something. If I click on send, I have the 201 created, and I have returned the ID, number 1, and everything. And just to view that everything works, if we go now to contacts, we have the contact here in the database. So magically, we have been able with this code to create a post API. The same with put, but put is a little more complex, but not a lot. So we receive in the put the ID in this route, and we receive the body that we want to use. So the first thing that we do is search for this object. Sometimes some people likes the put to create the object if it doesn't exist, but in this case what we have done is, if it is not present, we return not found. I think that's the correct thing to do. If it's present, we create a temporal contact, and finally we save it, and we do exactly the same that we were doing before with the post. So let's try it. So now if we go, sorry, this is not here. If we go to here, and instead put, we use a put, and we select the contact number 1, and we change the name from Mark to Marcus, and we send it. We receive OK, created, and, well, of course, if we go here and refresh this, now the name is Marcus, so it works. And the last thing is going to be delete the contact. We have delete mapping. Well, I didn't tell this, but you can view put mapping, post mapping, get mapping, contacts, and the ID. And this is very simple. We search for it. If it's present, we delete it, and response OK. And, well, we are returning the body, but we don't need to do that. And if it's not present, we say that it's not found. So what we're going to do is, well, I like to, maybe I'm going to create another. Okay, this is John. I'm going to send. So now, oh, what I've done wrong here. Oh, okay, I did a pause with a number, sorry. Okay, now I created it, and let's do another. Okay, so now we can delete the three of them. If you remember, I can get all of them, or I can get only one, so everything works. So let's delete the number 2. Delete, and we send this, and we have a 200. Okay, we received that for the last time, sorry. And if we try this, we have an odd phone, and if we go to contacts, we have the list of contacts. So this is everything, well, that we need to create a very simple, of course not complete and not accomplishing everything. We don't have pagination, we don't have links to the entities, so it's a pretty basic thing. It's not, we cannot call it properly a full REST API, but it's a start. Okay, I want to present to you how to start with this and how to create basic things. From here you can start to improve it and have something better. In the next videos, because I'm going to stop this video here, but I'm going to record some videos where I'm going to show to you how to improve this basic thing. We're going to try to use other libraries, we are going to add security, and well, the other thing that I'm going to do at the end is going to add other entity that is related with contact in a basis of many-to-many, so we can view how to deal with these kind of things where you have entities that are inside other entities, etc. So let's stop here and continue later with another video.